Hello classes. This is a video on how to use Google Earth. It's primarily for my Aristotle and Newton classes. I might use some of it in my Einstein class, but I'll use the Aristotle page, but this is for any of the classes where you want to use Google Earth. So I have this on our quick links. This quick links page should fill up with links as the year goes on, so it won't always look like this, but our first one we have under resources is Google Earth. So, and I have this test file over here that we can use to test Google Earth. So I'm going to click Google Earth. Now, Google has changed things. So they are going to a totally in the browser approach to this. I don't recommend that, and you'll see why. There are just a lot of features missing from that right now. So we're going to go to older versions. And you want the Google Earth Pro. It sounds like you're going to have to pay for it, but you will not. So we'll hit download. And we're going to agree to these things. If you're a student, you do not have authority to agree to these things. You must ask your parents. Okay, so we're going to agree and download. And then once that's downloaded, I'll just double click and run it. Okay, I'm not sure you'll be able to see that last thing where it was asking me, do I want to allow it to make changes? And I said, yes, I do want to allow it to make changes. So you will have to have administrator privileges on your computer that you're using to do this in order for this to work. Then it will continue to download. You want to be, not on a paid pay by the minute type system when you're doing this, and download something quickly. Okay, and I do encourage you to go through this tutorial. I'm gonna click don't show the tips, but leave this checked for a good long time for yourself so you can go through and look at these different things. In fact, I'll just leave it checked for myself. Okay, when you first do this, you can create a sign-in, but you don't have to. You don't have to. And over here, you'll see the extra features. Okay, now that I've downloaded and installed it, it should have associated all files with a .kmz ending, which is what we have over here, the Great Ziggurat of Ur. Let's move this over here so you can see it, is a .kmz file. So if I hit download, it's going to download that. It's a KMZ file, and when I double click on that to open it, since it's now associated with Google Earth, it should open up in Google Earth. And it did. And it put it in temporary places. So I'm going to unselect my set. These are all tour guides, which are fantastic. Oh, there's new ones. These weren't here the last time I looked. There are lots of new ones. I'm going to unselect those just so they're not distracting us, but you can see there's tons and tons of them. And over here, you'll see that we've selected the Great Ziggurat of Ur. You can unselect, it's the only one in here, but you might get lots of times the KMZ file I'll have, this one only has one item in it. Lots of times the files will have lots and lots of things, so you can do that. Then there are some things you want to look at. Okay, borders and labels are very handy. Places, you'll definitely want places listed. These are things like historical places. So the Great Ziggurat of Ur is a place, so that you want places selected. Photos, yes, you do want photos to show, especially 360 photos. We'll look at those in a second. Okay, I also recommend for this class select 3D buildings. This is where they've added to the map a 3D reconstruction or some other thing based on that. Okay, let's see if I can get these the tour guide to go away. I'm not sure I can. There is a way to make the tour guide go away, but I'm not sure what it is. Okay, so now that we've got this all set up, let's zoom in a little bit, and you can take your street view guy you click on him. This is a new computer, so it's a little bit hard for me. And you could click on him and put him where you want to look. So now he's zoomed in here. All right, there's not much to see here, but when I pan around, you'll see why I wanted to put that 3D thing on there. Keep looking around. All right, there is a 3D construction of what the Great Ziggurat of Ur is like. It's not always a 3D construction. Sometimes it's the Google, the Google truck or the Google car has taken 3D pictures. But in this case, you can see the 3D image. There are going to be a lot of exciting things when we're going to look at 3D reconstructions of ancient buildings and all those types of things. Okay, so we also have these little pictures. All right, so let's click on a picture. This is just a regular picture. It'll have who it's by. So if you use it, it's you need to cite the author, and you can look at other pictures. And so these are people who've gone and visited the site, and you can see actual pictures of what it looks like on the ground. For something like the Great Ziggurat of Ur, that's really important because we don't have the Google Street View of that. Okay, so now we're going to make that not show up as much, and I'm going to look at something on the sightseeing tour. I'm going to go to the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to click on the Eiffel Tower, and I double clicked on it to make it fly there. So it is flying me through to the Eiffel Tower. Okay. Now, notice a lot of these 360 signs have shown up here. Here's the Eiffel Tower, and this map has meshed both the Google Street View truck stuff and this is a two-dimensional reconstruction that's put on the land. So a lot of this two-dimensional imagery stuff is done by just a car driving by. We can take a little guy, and if you hover, it will tell you where, if you find a street, see how this street has turned blue? If I drop him there, him or her, this shouldn't be sexist, it actually takes us to, this is what the Google car saw when it was driving along. And if I could press on this road, it just takes me forward as if I'm driving in that Google car. And every time it stops, now sometimes there'll be a distortion because things were moving. But every time it stops, I'm looking at a picture that the Google, in this case, it might be a person holding the Google apparatus, but there is a picture of the Eiffel Tower. All right, I'm going to exit Street View over here. Oh, it's too zoomed in, so I'm going to zoom out. And sometimes it is a bit glitchy. Come on, zoom out. All right, so it's a little glitchy today, so I'm going to double click on the Eiffel Tower just so I can go back. Be patient with it. There's so much information. Be patient with Google when it's not. And this is, okay, now, so I use these a lot. These are the 360 view images. These are people have taken a special 360 degree camera and gone to these sites and taken these pictures. When you click on a 360, you then need to click here on the image. And then we go down into the 360 image like a bubble. Okay, and now eventually Google is going to tie these into a very inexpensive thing called Google Cardboard, which lets you use any smartphone and move your head around as a virtual reality headset. And that is where they're taking this, but it's not quite there yet. But you can move around in this 360 picture, and it's kind of like, it's very similar and done in a very similar way to the Google Street View, but these are individuals who had a camera and they took this picture to share it with the world. So that's how you use the 360. So that's it. We need to remember to select your photos to make sure your 360s are there. Your borders and labels might be helpful, might not be, but do select the places and do select 3D buildings. Now, sometimes you might want to deselect the 3D buildings to see what's there now versus what the 3D reconstruction has put in. but that 3D building thing is very cool. So that's how we'll be using this. If you want to build your own file of your favorite places, you can, let me exit the photo. Okay, so I'm back. You can drop a pin. This is how I build your things. We drop a pin, you can title it my first pin. It tells you the latitude and longitude of it. And you can add information, a link, a web image, a local image, all sorts of things. So that is how, and then they come in a KMZ file. Most times my KMZ files will have lots of pins in them. I'm working on adding tours, but I'm not quite there yet. But there you go. That's how to use Google. Yeah, Google Earth. Thanks, Google. We adore you. We use Google a lot. Okay, bye guys.